Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Reggie Wilson with a really quick video. So I've seen some rumors out right now that Oster is coming out with their cordless fast feeds. Now, Oster last year, they seemed like they got missing from the spotlight. Their Instagram was inactive. It seemed like they've been going through a rebranding. If you go on the Instagram now, you can see a lot of stuff where they're asking like for feedback. What do we want, a detachable or an adjustable? And they're asking questions, trying to get barbers to give them some feedback. So with that said, man, I'm excited to see these cordless fast feeds. Now, there have been some already on the market, but not from Oster. There have been modders that's out here that actually understand how to work on clippers, making it happen. But it's nothing like getting something directly from the manufacturers for warranty purposes. Are you excited? In the comments below, let me know how you feeling about it. Are you a fast feed guy? Do you think the fast feed and the cordless setting would be the right thing? Also, what else would you do to the fast feed to make it even a better clipper? All right, this is Reggie Winston, the Better Barber. Thank you for checking out this video on YouTube. Check out some of the other videos, like and subscribe, but let me know, what do you think you should see from these Oster fast feeds? Are you excited to get them? And is this the clipper that you want to purchase? And yeah, let's see what happens, yo. Can't wait to see what the price is going to be and how they're going to look. All right, y'all, stay tuned.
I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975, I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but I was looking in the mirror, and every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me, and she was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. First of all, she said, "Somebody give me a piece of paper. Give me a piece of paper." She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy. A spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it, I couldn't say it, I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. I was a 1.8 GPA one semester, and the university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Fail big. You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought. So I'm in the wings, I'm about to go on stage, but the guy in front of me, he's singing like Pavarotti, and I'm just shrinking, I'm getting smaller and smaller. So they say, "Oh, thank you very much, and you'll be hearing from us." So I come out with my little sheet music, and so I assumed I didn't get the job. But the next part of the audition, he called me back. The next part of the audition is the acting part of the audition. No, I'm like, hey, okay, maybe I can't sing, but I know I can act. So they pair me with this guy, and again, I didn't know about musical theater. And musical theater is big, so they can reach everyone all the way in the back of the stadium. And I'm more from a realistic, naturalistic kind of acting where you actually talk to the person next to you. So I don't know what my line was. My line was, well, hand me the cup. And his line was, well, I will hand you the cup, my dear. The cup will be there to be handed to you. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed, and I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Fall forward. The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? While it may be frightening, it will also be rewarding. Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Without commitment, you'll never start, but more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, P. Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. Don't confuse movement with progress. Remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. What are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors, some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money, some of you have patience, some of you have kindness, some of you have love, some of you have the gift of long suffering. Whatever it is, whatever your gift is, what are you going to do with what you have? And it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing's better than that. Well, I have traveled the world, and I have spoke to millions of people. But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected, I've been directed, I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
What's going on YouTube? It is your boy Josh back with another haircut tutorial, and as you guys can see today we got a little wavy client. About to give him a nice bald fade, clean the beard up and line it up real good. Y'all about to see how we get down. And if you guys are new to the channel and you're not subscribed, please make sure you guys go down and smash that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on too, so you guys don't miss out on any new drops. So right after getting the hair combed out, I'm going to come in with my 1.5 guard with the lever all the way closed, going with the grain to knock off all the bulk that we don't need. And as I'm doing this, I'm paying attention to the way that his hair grows in different patterns, so I won't gap him or anything. You guys want to make sure you pay attention to the small details when cutting hair, because one mistake can cost the whole haircut. And as y'all can see, man, that 1.5 got the waves popping. It got the hair laying down real good. And if you guys notice, after a couple strokes, when I go over the head, I always come back with my brush. The brush, it kind of releases all the hair that's already cut out of the hair. So it kind of resets the hair to let you know what's still there and what's already been cut. As soon as I get the hair cut down to the height that I want it to, I'll go right into setting in my first guideline, which is the bald line. And like I said, we're going to be giving him a high fade, so I'm not going to be dropping it too low under the occipital bone. I'm going to keep it kind of level with it, you know, right in the middle. And we're going to be doing that. So after I have the guideline set in how I want all the way around, I come back with my trimmers and I just clean up all this extra hair, making sure that I get all the hair gone. You want to make sure you get like literally every piece of hair, because you want your haircut to be flawless. You can't leave anything behind. So this right here is something that I do that helps me when taking out that first guideline. After I'm done setting in that initial bald line, I come behind it and I kind of taper at it with my trimmers a little bit. It kind of breaks up that harsh guideline, making it easier for the clippers to take it out. But a big factor in this is making sure that your clippers are zero gapped, because it's all in the way that your system is balanced. So if your clippers are zero gapped, you have the capacity to be able to take out that guideline with the clippers itself. So using the trimmer is making it even easier. It just helps you out when taking out that first guideline. And right here I'm setting in that first guideline with no guard on, with the lever all the way open, with my caliber 50 cal BMG clippers going up about a ½ inch. And I'm making sure that I'm keeping the width the same all the way around, because I want my fade to be balanced all the way around on every guideline. So right here I got the clipper with the lever I think 1 notch from all the way closed, and I'm just kind of going to be starting up under that guideline, that ball line, and just flicking up to the ball line. And then once I kind of get it light how I want it and set it up for the kill, I close the clipper all the way closed, and it kind of just blends it out perfectly. It's just the way that I have these clippers set. They're zero gap, so I got a good system in between the notches and how the blade cuts, and all you have to do is just understand your clippers, and you can really do some dangerous haircuts. So usually when I'm taking out this guideline, I kind of do a lot of detail work, so you'll see me opening and closing my clipper a lot depending on the area, because sometimes the hair doesn't react to the clippers how it should, and you have to adjust it to get it, you gotta kind of get that detail work and do that corner blending technique. So right here we're going to be jumping right into the next guideline, which is the number 1 guard with the lever all the way open, and I'm going to go up about a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch. Like I said, we're going to be doing a high ball fade, so right here is going to kind of be the area where I kind of stop fading up. I'm going to start my fading down process after this guideline, but let's break this guideline down. And you guys remember to make sure your width of your guidelines are the same all the way around the head. You know what I'm saying? No matter where we at in the haircut, I'm keeping everything balanced because I want my fade to be consistent all the way around and on both sides. So after going in with the number 1 guard all the way open, to fade out this guideline, I'm going to be dropping down to the number 1 guard closed. As you guys can see right now, I have the number 1 guard with the lever all the way closed, and I'm starting right up under the guideline and just flicking up halfway into the area that I went in with the number 1 guard open, because that's going to create a transition. So it's going to transition down from 1 guard open to 1 guard closed. Then I'm going to end it off with the half guard, and I'm going to go about halfway into the area that I did with the number 1 guard closed, and that should create my blend. And like I said, right here I have my half guard on. Usually when I start on my half guard, sometimes I close the lever halfway just to get an idea, because sometimes different people's hair react to the half guard differently, and sometimes when it's all the way closed it cuts too much. It just depends on how fine and thin the hair is, but usually I always end up closing it all the way, and I do like a lot of detail work. So now that we're done with that guideline, we're not going to be creating any more guidelines for the rest of this haircut. I'm just going to be fading down, starting right here with my number 2 guard with the lever all the way open. And the reason why I chose the number 2 guard all the way open is because on top we cut the hair down to a 1.5 closed with the grain. So when fading a ball fade into a 1.5 closed with the grain, you usually want to go with a number 3 guard or a number 2 guard open, just depending on the hair texture. And I felt like a number 2 guard open was going to be perfect for him, and it came out perfect. So I'm just going to be fading down from the number 2 guard, then from the number 2 guard open, then I'm going to drop down to the number 2 guard with the lever all the way closed, and just go right back behind every step that I did with the 2 guard open, but I don't go up as high. So basically I'm just creating a transition. So right here I'm going in with my number 1.5 guard. Like I said, we're fading down, so I walk down from the highest guard all the way down to the smallest until the fade is completely blended. Right here I have it with the number 1.5 guard all the way closed, and I'm just starting right up under the dark area and just flicking up to it. Basically the whole goal of down fading is coming behind the previous guard but not going up as high. So basically you're leaving the hair shorter and shorter and shorter as you fade down, which creates your fade. So that's why I follow my guards in a systematic step, because it helps make the haircut so simple. That's why I go from 2 guard open to 2 guard closed to 1.5 open to 1.5 closed to the 1 guard open, and it just blends the whole haircut together perfectly. So we're almost done with this fade. Right here I'm going in with the number 1 guard on with the lever all the way open, and I'm just trying to blend right up into that 1.5 area, because we've gotten to the bottom of the fading down process, and we're at the area now where we want to make the fade come all together and do all the detail work that we need to do. And you guys, to be honest, on some clients you might have to put in a little bit more time on getting certain lines out. Like right here on some textures of hair, it might fade right out, you know what I'm saying? Everything is just perfect, and sometimes you can follow the exact steps and there's like dark spots here, dark spots there, so you have to spend a lot of time really opening and closing the lever, you know, getting in certain positioning in some parts of the fade to make it blend, because some hair is just stubborn sometimes. Y'all see it, man, this fade is coming together nicely. I mean, look how smooth it is. We're not even done yet, but I mean, just really listen to what I'm saying, man. Y'all can learn something. So right here I'm going to be doing some more detail work. I'm going with the grain with the 1 guard open across the front of the hairline to help prep for the hairline, and also right on the edge of the fade so I can connect that side a little more. I don't like that dark heavy area right there, so I'm gonna do a little bit more detail work just to get that looking like how I want it. But other than that, man, we mostly done with this fade. So right here what I'm doing is I have the babbless guards, and I'm going in with the number 2 guard with the lever all the way open. Then I'm gonna close it, and then I'm gonna come back with the 1.5 guard with the lever open and close it. Basically, instead of using the wall number 2 guard, I'm using the babbless number 2 guard, because I feel like the wall number 2 guard is kind of thicker. So I did that, and then I came back with the 1.5 babbless guard. That's the original 1.5 I used in the beginning, but it kind of just made the fade come out way smoother like I wanted it to. But y'all see the fade is looking good. Now we're gonna move into the beard. I'm gonna pick it out. We're gonna be knocking it down. Then we're gonna show y'all how to do a beard fade. So I'm knocking this beard down to a number 3 guard with the lever all the way open, and I'm just going to go with the grain. And when I go under the neck, I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit, just because some of the hair grows in different directions. So when I'm doing my beard fade technique, it's kind of similar to when I'm doing my fading down technique. I start with no guard on, then I close it halfway to blend out that guideline. Then I pick up the biggest guard that I need at the bottom of the beard, and then I fade up towards the top of the beard by getting smaller guards, and it creates a fade. And if you guys notice, the smaller the guard, the higher I am in the beard, because that's the fading zone for that particular guard. So right here I'm going to prep the hairline with some holding spray and come behind it with the blow dryer to get the hair to lay down and lock in where I need it to. And you guys, using my Babbless Low Pro FX trimmers with the gold FX blade on it, I'm going in and I'm setting in that fire lineup. I'm going to sit back and let you guys watch this lineup unfold the haircut. Sometimes when the hair acting funny, I got to grab the hair a little bit to get that pinpoint lineup that I need, because sometimes the hair acts stubborn and don't want to move, so I got to kind of keep the head more still. And y'all, we're keeping this lineup all natural. It's already coming out clean. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. So right here we're going to be jumping into the beard line, and this is going to be super satisfying to watch how clean these lines came out and how uniform it made it look all the way around. So we got my guy all lined up from the hairline all the way to the beard. You know, I had to come behind it with that razor to make sure it's sharp to a T, man. We need it smooth all the way to the skin. Like I said, all natural cut, man. The fade came out crazy. We got the waves popping on top. But I let y'all see the before and after at the end. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. I really hope you learned something. And I love giving y'all these videos and giving out some free game and some entertainment to some people. Make sure y'all leave a thumbs up too, man. Leave some comments on the video. Y'all know we had to get my boy right. He came in and said, y'all, I need his beard chopped down and I need the crispiest fade you ever did. Y'all know he came to the right spot. Check him out. Y'all know I got my dog turned up, man. Fade crispy, line crispy. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this haircut. And make sure if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, you subscribe and you turn that notification bell on. Leave a thumbs up on this video too for the algorithm so I can keep growing. And you can follow me on Instagram at JoshXBarber like you see on the top of the video. Peace.
Oh my goodness, it's so good to see people in the seats again. Ah. So welcome, and welcome to all of you here in the Library of Congress's Coolidge Auditorium. And welcome to all of you who have joined us from afar and are watching our live streamed broadcast. We're glad to have you with us tonight. Tonight kicks off a 3-day celebration in honor of the 2022 Library of Congress Gershwin Prize for Popular Song honoree Lionel Richie. And for us, it is particularly poignant because the last time we awarded the Gershwin Prize, it was to Garth Brooks, and the date was March 4th, 2020, the week before the world shut down. So now we're all returning to concert halls and since we're a library and we use library metaphors, it seems like these two Gershwin Prizes are bookends for the pandemic. But it is truly a joy to be back. I'm sure that when you think of the Library of Congress, you wonder, how many books do we have? But since this is a musical event, I'm here to tell you that we have much more than books. Our mission is to collect and preserve this material for posterity, to keep it safe for the American people. And in the music division, we hold close to 25 million items, including operas and symphonies and other classical music, popular music, and notes on paper, literary manuscripts, microforms, copyright deposits, and many fantastic musical instruments. We have 6 Stradivari instruments, and we have James Madison's flute. But what is particularly amazing is that we also collect the papers of important composers and artists in the field of music, theater, and dance. We are particularly rich in American composers and songwriters' papers and music, from Irving Berlin's original manuscript scores for God Bless America to the papers of Leonard Bernstein, Oscar Hammerstein, Jonathan Larson, and Jesse Norman, to name a few. The library has received an amazing array of materials that collectively chronicle centuries of human achievement in music, culture, and arts. The generosity and big-heartedness of many have built your nation's library. Of course, I must make mention of one of the most prized collections in the division, and that is the inspiration and guiding light for the Gershwin Prize for Popular Song, that of George and Ira Gershwin. This collection contains such classics as Rhapsody in Blue, the musical manuscripts from Gershwin's stage and screen shows, and a wealth of manuscripts, printed music, photographs, correspondence, business papers, scrapbooks, and iconography. The library has George's piano, which Lionel played on this afternoon, Ira's typing table, and typewriter. Our collections are open to all, and I invite you to come and take advantage of them either in person or online at loc.gov. The Library of Congress Gershwin Prize for Popular Song is reserved for and granted to the musicians, songwriters, and singers who have reached the highest levels of musical achievement. And tonight, we are here to hear from one such supreme being, Lionel Richie. I hope you are ready to enjoy a very special conversation between two amazing people, the sublime Lionel Richie and our own special celebrity, the Librarian of Congress, Dr. Carla Hayden. So, as you know, one of the library's missions is to preserve the nation's cultural history. Therefore, we do conversations like this one tonight, oral histories of important people in the music business, and we record and preserve them for posterity in our archives. So now I have the delightful task of introducing the woman who leads our amazing library, the 14th Librarian of Congress, Dr. Carla Hayden, along with the incomparable Lionel Richie.
Thank you. Where do you want me?
Okay, it's a bad pun, but you all could do that all night long, right? I had to say it. Had to get it off. I had to start that.
You want me on the other side? All right.
Right
Good.
on the other side.
That's quite all right. Quite all right.
Well, Mr. Richie, and welcome to all of the people watching us online,
How are you?
because there's
Very good.
so many people watching. This is, as you know, one of our first in-person events, and we couldn't think of a better occasion and a better person to bring us back. So thank you.
We are back.
We are back.
We are back.
We are back. And so, the Gershwin Award. You've Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all of these Oscars. She said, can't hear me, I'm a librarian. Shh. I'll come it up. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They can't hear you. You got...
I am excited. You got to learn that too. But the Gershwin Award, George and Ira Gershwin, songwriters par excellence.
You all have no idea. I mean, I can honestly tell you, I've been around the world and around the world, and ironically enough, of all the things that were on my bucket list, this was not one of them. In other words, it was so far out in space, that's something else that happens. When I got the call, it was a moment of thinking, is this real or am I being punked? And then I realized, oh my God, it's real. And I mean, when you say Gershwin, that's the Holy Grail. That's it. And as a songwriter, this is just beyond my comprehension. Because to start out in Tuskegee, Alabama, and then you start talking about the Library of Congress, the George Gershwin Award, and Ira. It is beyond my comprehension. Even right now, I'm on stage. There's two people you're watching right now. The person who's the spectator going, oh my God. And then, of course, there's the other person, Lionel Richie, going, of course, I've done this for years. So, yeah, but this is way out of bounds because I don't really quite know how to accept all of this, but it is because when I got into the business, I was going after Stevie. I'm going after Marvin, going after Elton. I wasn't going after
George
Gershwin.
Yeah, that's a little different. Now, Tuskegee, you went to Tuskegee College
Absolutely.
and stuff, so it's historically black college,
Absolutely.
but a hotbed for music and excellence. What was that like?
Well, I mean, first of all, born and raised on the campus of Tuskegee University. Thank you very much. And had the pleasure of having William L. Dawson come by my house every day, the Negro Folk Symphony, and would work with my grandmother on pieces that he was writing, and they were in the other room. And the only thing I had to do to make sure I got out of the house, he would quiz me on whatever language he just left. So if he left France for a concert, I'd have to say something in French. He scared me to death. And then I slipped out through a side door. But Tuskegee was basically probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was raised by some pretty amazing people. The Tuskegee Airmen were the Tuskegee Airmen, we didn't know they were famous until I was about 13, 14, because America didn't recognize it. When you watch the 20th Century with Walter Cronkite, we didn't see the Tuskegee Airmen, we didn't see any black troops, but yet the funny thing about growing up in Tuskegee, we had black men who would go to Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. They would salute them, give them carte blanche, but they couldn't vote. And I kept thinking, okay, well, what's that all about? Because they kept us in what we call the bubble. And on this university campus, they gave us a lot of permission to get away with things that we didn't know we were supposed to be able to get away with, like think for yourself. And we had little missions. Failure is not an option. Not realizing that they realize they might not have the opportunity, but if we do, this is your shot. This is what we want you to do. Step forward.
So, just imagine, I grew up in a town where everybody was a doctor, a lawyer, double PhDs, airmen. In fact, when I was growing up, we had Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and Air Explorer Scouts. So we were flying at the age of 12. Not realizing that I was going to be a pilot, I was just kind of naturally thinking that this is what everybody was doing. And I quickly dropped out of the pilot program when they said you can take the plane up by yourself.
Ooh, yeah.
I ain't going no place by myself.
Not in a plane.
But I mean, the experience of being on the campus was amazing, because the great part about HBCUs is they didn't prepare you just for academics. They prepared you for culture and how to handle yourself in life. So there was a part where we had the art and lecture series, where you could go and watch anyone from Odetta to a ballet troupe. Now, of course, at age 7, 8, 9, it was the most boring thing that I ever sat through in my life. But my grandmother and mother and father insisted that we go. And of course, check. Do we know anything about ballet? Yes, we do. Do you know anything about symphonies? Yes, we do. And so once you experience it, it becomes a part of your little treasure chest of things that you know about. But having that as a background all of those amazing people. Of course, that was when segregation was strong. And then as soon as integration came in,
That changed.
all the big schools dissolved basically because now all those jobs are available anywhere in the world.
Now, you mentioned your grandmother again. So she was, you said, on the piano with William Dawson. So she was a pianist. What about her?
A.M. Foster, Adelaide M. Foster, was the grand dame of my family and my life and Tuskegee University. My grandmother, on the deed to my home, is Booker T. Washington's sister's name. Grandma was the cultural fanatic. And so with her, you can imagine when I was growing up, I couldn't imagine it, but I said, what did you put down that you wanted to be when you grew up? And she said, I wanted to be a classical pianist. Now think about this. This is 18, whatever, 1902. And she had the wherewithal to say, I'm going to be a concert pianist. And so goes the adventure. She ended up where she wanted to be because she was an instructor on the campus of the university. She graduated from Fisk University and was with the Jubilee Choir. And then from there, she had her dealings with me, which was a terrible disappointment.
Okay, now I had a note here.
Yeah, I figured you might have a note down there.
Now, but you did make it up to her later in life.
I did.
With Placido Domingo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I want everybody to know.
Yes,
But there was a moment.
I redeemed myself. That's what we call it.
So let's just put it out there.
Okay, so first of all, my grandmother tried her best to teach me how to read and write music and to pay attention and be a studious person. What she didn't know, and what I didn't know either, was back in the day, I was called hyperactive. Today they call that ADHD or ADD or...
How about talented?
Confused. I could have used you. No.
Right.
I needed you back then. I needed you back then.
That's what we're learning now.
Well, the whole concept was I was living somewhere else in my brain. And so what I didn't know I had the ability to do was she would play it and I would watch. And then she would leave and say, work on it and I'll be back in a minute. Well, she would come back and I'd play it from beginning to end. And she said, I'm not teaching you anymore. And I said, why? That was perfect. And she says, you didn't read the music. And I said, well, why do you know I didn't read the music? She said, you didn't turn the page.
That's right. There you go.
So I had a dip right there in my career because at that particular moment, I was basically useless. Because if you can't read music, you can't be in a concert pianist's home and you can't read music.